My name is Brian Kuhn, Mayor of Lancaster, Ohio. We are a city that takes great pride in our history, and we have a strong spirit as we invest in our present and build for our future. There are many dedicated people who make the city operate on a daily basis throughout the year. Join me now as we meet these people who help make the city what it is today. Welcome to Today in Lancaster, and thanks for joining us. I'm Mayor Brian Kuhn, and with me today is Officer Chris Caton from the Lancaster Police Department. Chris has been with the Lancaster Police Department for many years, and he currently works for the Community Service Division of the Lancaster Police Department. So he's going to tell us about some of the things he does for our city throughout the year. So Chris, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
I know one of the big things that you work on is Safety Town and then DARE. And with Safety Town coming up in June, maybe you could tell us a little bit about that program.
Well, Safety Town for 2016 is going to be held from June 6th through the 17th this year. And we do have a new location. This year, hopefully our new permanent home is Mount Pleasant Elementary at 712 North Broad Street.
Now, Chris, let me ask you, the new location, is that going to be out on the playground like it had been in the past at Medill, or do you get to go inside?
Where the actual part where the kids get to be on the tricycles and be on a little town with all the buildings and the streets, that's actually going to be indoors this year for the first time ever.
Wow, that's great. So that way you don't have to worry about rain, or if it's 90 degrees outside, you'll be in air conditioning.
Right, and also helps with the vandalism and things like that happens, once the sun goes down, things like that.
Okay, great.
So we were able to obtain that tarp, which has the grassy areas, the streets, sidewalks, and everything on it. We were able to attain that last year through a grant, and like I said, we're real excited to have that indoors this year. But yeah, that is just a small part of Safety Town. Every day at Safety Town, like I said, it's a 2-week program that there's a morning session and an afternoon session.
Okay.
The morning session, we have roughly between 100 and 120 students in the morning session, which runs from 9 a.m. to noon. And then we have a different session, which is the afternoon session from 1 to 4 p.m. And we usually have anywhere from 75 to 80 kids at the most in the afternoon session.
Now Chris, the children that are coming to Safety Town, where do they come from? Like, how do they get there?
Well, the program is designed for kids who are going to be entering kindergarten this coming school year.
Okay.
So the information is put out to all the elementary schools in the city of Lancaster and also the Fairfield County, and they're in the kindergarten packets, so all the parents who are having upcoming kindergartners are aware of the program and how to sign up. Okay,
so it's just kindergartners in the like August or September of this year.
Right, this coming school year, yes. And each day, it's like I said, it's 2 weeks long, and each day there's a safety of the day that we have I guess you would say, a expert in their field come in and talk about the safety of the day. And there's a long list of different safeties of the day, and it starts off with animal safety, electric safety, school bus, water, fire, personal, bicycle, pedestrian, and playground safety, as well as pretty poisons and stranger danger.
Okay.
And each day, we like I said, we have an expert in each field, and we can't do this alone. Lancaster Police Department can't do this alone. We have many partners in this endeavor.
Who are some of the partners that you had that help out?
Well, really our biggest partner is Lancaster City Schools.
Okay.
That's huge. They give us the school building in order to have the program in, which is a huge thing. And also they help us with the school bus safety. They have their school bus instructors do that part as well.
Now, some of the people that come in, Chris, do they come in like year after year? Maybe it's the same, like I assume it's a firefighter or a fire chief that comes in and talks about the fire safety, or have you seen like a rotation of people?
Interesting you mentioned that. Actually, most of our presenters have been with Safety Town for as long as I can remember. And they range, Lancaster Fire Department, we have the fire inspectors who come in and do the fire safety. Lancaster Animal Clinic, Dr. Neil Bonham comes in and does animal safety. South Central Power, we have American Red Cross, we have Fairfield County Child Protective Services, Safe Kids Coalition, and also Dr. DePietro from Fairfield Spine Center.
This sounds like a program that it would be fun to go to. Like, I would like to go to a program like that. It sounds like it covers a wide range of areas, really, for these young children.
I'll be honest with you, I've learned a lot from it.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt. I mean, you cover such a broad range, and when my kids, they went through Safety Town, and I just thought it was like learning like the rules of the road type of thing on actually a much smaller basis. But I didn't realize that they had all these other areas that they covered as well. That's great. Is the program, Chris? Is that something that you or your department has developed, or is this something that's like nationwide? That if you go to Safety Town in Lancaster, it's going to be the same as Zanesville or California or wherever?
Our particular Safety Town has been around, I believe this might be its 28th or 29th year. So ours was not the first by any means, but one of the first ones out. It's been around for a long time, and there's actually been other safety towns that's been developed and it's kind of modeled after our program.
Is that right?
But there are different variations. I've been and visited some other safety towns, and though they all have their similarities, they're all slightly different. And our curriculum is something that we've come up with.
So, is there any kind of certification that your safety town has to get through, like the Ohio Department of Education or anything like that?
No, there isn't, but we do. Each day is ran just like an elementary school, so we do have certified teachers who are basically on our summer break, who are the teachers at Safety Town, and each teacher is responsible for a classroom of students, along with each classroom has a helper. So it is ran like a school, and also a big part of Safety Town is to kind of transition the kids who are getting ready to go into kindergarten, to get them used to being in a school setting. So there is an educational aspect along with it, as long as we have art class, music class, we have recess. So it very much mimics actual school setting.
That's very interesting, because then it sounds like since they're preschoolers going into kindergarten, this is really their first experience at a school day.
Right.
And you said, is it 3 or 4 hours?
It is 3 hours.
3
each session.
And so those little tykes are probably about tired when their 3 hours are up, I'm guessing.
Most of them are. We do have snack time, but we don't have nap time, so they're tired.
How about, do you get nap time?
You know what? Some days I wish I did.
Yeah, I bet. So you have the 3 hour session, and then do you and the volunteers have time for a little break before the next group comes in?
There's 1 hour between the sessions, so it's enough to by the time the last student is out of there, and we've got to be back early, so we have time enough to grab a quick sandwich and then get back at it.
Now, you talked about partnering with the schools. How about the volunteers? You mentioned like the Lancaster Police Department couldn't do it on their own.
Absolutely
Tell me
not.
a little bit about the volunteers that come in.
Well, our volunteers, most of those are students who are, in essence, recruited from Lancaster City Schools, and they come in, they help. They're basically teachers' aides, and a lot of them, actually most of them, have been there. They started usually about the 5th grade, is usually when we start them out, and some of them will stay clear up through high school, and we have now a certified teacher who teaches at Safety Town, who started with Safety Town as a helper back in the 5th grade.
Wow, that's a long time. That's a big commitment,
Yeah.
and it must be fun for them, the volunteers, and obviously they enjoy it, or they wouldn't come back year after year. And are there any paid staff for the Safety Town, or is it like strictly 100% volunteers?
We do pay our classroom teachers, because we want to get certified teachers for obvious reasons. I'm kind of embarrassed to say we don't pay them very much. It's definitely,
Yeah.
They're essentially volunteering. They do get paid something, but it's not very much.
Now I've had the benefit of attending 2 graduations when I was a service safety director, and it's a fun event. You want to talk a little bit about graduation day?
Well, graduation, it's actually a pretty big event. We take both sessions, the morning and afternoon, put them together. They get to invite their family, mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, aunt, uncle, whomever, and we parade the kids in, and to pomp and circumstance, they get to wear their Safety Town t-shirt. They all get a t-shirt.
Yeah.
And they also get their graduation cap. And they parade them in, and then we go through 4 or 5 safety songs, which is cute as can be.
Yeah.
And then we give each and every one of them their certificate of completion for Safety Town, and then end it with a slideshow showing the parents and their family the types of things that their children have been doing the past couple weeks.
And when they leave for graduation, when they're finished, what do they leave with besides, of course, the knowledge that they've gained over the period of time, but what else do they get to take home?
They get to take home their certificate, their T-shirt, and a big part of Safety Town, like we mentioned earlier, was riding the tricycles out on the Safety Town. But we also give each and every one of them a bicycle helmet to promote safety when they're riding their bicycle, and they get to keep that helmet and take it home with them as well. Hopefully that they use that helmet when they're riding their bicycle at home.
And to talk about the Safety Town, the part where they're riding on, you mentioned the mat earlier and the helmets. And as you mentioned, this will be the first year for the mat that the Lancaster Police Department were lucky enough to get a grant from the Fairfield County Foundation to pay 100% of the mat cost. And as you said, when you lay it out, it looks like a city street or cityscape, I guess, right?
Yes, it does.
And then also, you've got all new bicycles,
Brand
right?
new. This will be the first year we've got the opportunity to use those, and we got those completely paid for by the Kiwanis.
Yeah, the Lancaster Kiwanis Club, and I think there was a little bit of funding left from the grant that helped pay for those bikes too,
Right.
which I think is great because before you were just out on the blacktop, a basketball court or wherever,
Right.
and Lancaster Department of Transportation came over and painted some lines for you,
Right.
and you had a couple of traffic signals. So this is a big change for the Safety Town.
That's another big partner we have is the Lancaster Department of Transportation. You mentioned years past they painted the town and the cityscape on the pavement, and they actually created our working traffic light and pedestrian signals. But this year they're doing something a little different. They're actually hanging pedestrian signals and the traffic light from the ceiling of the gymnasium at Mount Pleasant.
That's great.
So they've got some time invested in this, and they're really couldn't do it without them as well.
Yeah, it's interesting, and I'm glad you brought them into it because something that most of the public isn't aware of is the cooperation between all the city departments that we have, and if there's a need and a request that goes out, typically somebody can help with the cause, and really the city departments work together quite a bit, like for our own benefit and for the benefit of the city as well. As we wrap up here, you want to let everybody know in the viewing audience how they can get signed up?
Like I mentioned earlier, every kindergarten packet within the City of Lancaster and Fairfield County should have a Safety Town flyer and a registration form in it. But if that didn't happen, or if they lost it, they can go to the Lancaster Police Department's website and download it from our forms page, or they can stop into the Lancaster Police Department and get one, and they can turn it in right there, or they can mail it in, whichever they prefer.
That's great. Well, Officer Caton, I appreciate you being on our show today, and I hope the listeners learned a thing or two about Safety Town. And Officer Caton gave you some information about how to find out more about it if you're interested. So, Officer Caton, thanks for coming in today, and appreciate everything that you do for the children and for the city of Lancaster. And everybody out there, we look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks, and have a great day.